I made my cousin lose her dream wedding venue when she banned my boyfriend. My cousin called me last week to tell me that my boyfriend Matt wasn't invited to her wedding anymore because apparently he didn't match the aesthetic of her perfect vineyard wedding. She actually said the words, "I need everyone in my photos to have a certain caliber," and explained that Matt with his contractor trucks and work boots wasn't giving the elevated vibe she needed. Then she hit me with the real kicker by saying I was only invited to the ceremony since technically I was extended family, and she wanted to keep the reception for people who run in the same circles, not relatives her mom made her invite. I sat there listening to her explain how the reception was for her sorority sisters and investment banker friends while I tried not to laugh out loud. 8 months ago, she'd been sobbing to me about how every venue wanted $40,000 and her parents had given her a $20,000 budget, already blown on her dress. I mentioned that Matt's parents owned a vineyard venue and maybe I could ask about availability. She literally begged me to check, and when I told her they could do it, she screamed that I was the best cousin in the world and she'd never forget this. What she never bothered to figure out was that the only reason she got that venue basically free was because Matt's parents adore me like I'm already their daughter, and I spend every Sunday at their house for dinner helping his mom Linda with her garden. They were doing this as a massive favor, calling me their future daughter-in-law even though Matt and I aren't engaged yet, and gave my cousin the friends and family rate, which meant she only paid for staff and catering, not the actual $35,000 venue fee. My cousin never asked how I got such an insane deal and just assumed I knew somebody who knew somebody while she posted constantly about her dream venue and how she manifested it through positive thinking. After she finished her speech about curating her guest list for the right energy, I told her I completely understood her vision and hung up. Then I called Linda, who answered on the first ring like always. I explained what my cousin had said about Matt not being the right caliber and how I was being hidden away during the ceremony like some embarrassing relative. Linda got so quiet I thought the call dropped, and then she said in that voice mothers use when they're about to destroy someone, "That spoiled little princess is about to learn what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you." Linda asked if my cousin had signed an actual contract, and I told her no because we'd handled everything through texts since it was a family favor. She said she needed to make a quick phone call and would call me right back, but I could hear her muttering about ungrateful brats insulting her baby boy. 20 minutes later, Linda called back and said in her most fake upset voice that there had been a terrible mistake with their booking system, and unfortunately they'd double booked that date with a Fortune 500 company retreat paying full price, and since there was no formal contract, they'd have to go with a confirmed paying client. She said my cousin would be getting an apologetic call from their event coordinator within the hour, explaining that if she still wanted the venue, she'd need to pay the full rate of $35,000 plus a $5,000 rush fee, or they'd have to release the date immediately. I tried to tell Linda she didn't have to go nuclear, but she cut me off and said, "Honey, when someone tells me my son isn't good enough for their fancy pictures while using my property for free, they better pray I only take away the venue." She added that the coordinator would helpfully provide other venue options, which she knew were all either booked or charging $50,000 because she'd already called her friends who owned them. An hour later, my phone exploded with texts from my cousin having a complete psychological breakdown because the venue called about needing $40,000 by 5 p.m. or they'd cancel everything. She was frantically typing barely coherent messages asking how this was happening, and didn't I set this up and I needed to fix this right now. I texted back saying I had no idea what she was talking about since I wasn't really involved in her wedding being just extended family and all, but maybe one of her investment banker friends could help with the $40,000. She tried calling 23 times in 10 minutes, but I didn't answer because I was at Matt's parents' house where Linda had made my favorite lasagna and kept refilling my wine saying, "People who don't appreciate family don't deserve family pricing."